Uganda's parliament has voted to approve the deployment of the country's military to the Gaza Strip if an international security force proposed under US President Donald Trump's ceasefire plan is eventually established.
Motion for a resolution of Parliament to support the deployment of the Uganda People's Defense Forces contingent as part of an international stabilization force in the Gaza Strip at the invitation of the United States of America.
Honourable Minister for Defense.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the motion is moved under Section 38(2) of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act and Rule 61(1)(k) of the Rules of Procedure of this House. Aware that Article 210, Article 210, Clause D of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda mandates Parliament to make laws regulating the Uganda People's Defense Forces, including the deployment of troops outside Uganda. Noting that Section 38 of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act.
The decision follows a request from the United States conveyed through diplomatic channels to Ugandan President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in July. It's the first public acknowledgement by Uganda of its willingness to join the proposed force, which is part of a wider ceasefire and reconstruction plan for Gaza. The plan includes disarmament of Hamas, Israel troop withdrawal, humanitarian aid, and a civilian administration led by Palestine technocrat, but little progress has been made so far. According to Chiwanuka, the Attorney General, Uganda stands ready to contribute.
Provides that the President may deploy
troops
outside Uganda for purposes of peacekeeping with the approval of Parliament. Further noting that on the 7th of October 2023, Hamas and allied armed groups launched a large-scale attack in southern Israel, killing around 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and taking more than 250 hostages. In retaliation, Israel responded with a large-scale military campaign aimed at dismantling Hamas and recovering the hostages, which has caused mayhem in the Gaza Strip. Aware that the current Israeli-Palestine conflict is rooted in more than a century of competing national movements, disputed territory, repeated wars, and failed peace efforts that has led to extensive destruction in the Gaza Strip, a very high death toll, mass displacement, and severe humanitarian crisis, requiring immediate intervention to protect the civilians and allow for increased humanitarian access in parts of affected directly by the conflict. Cognizant that the United Nations Security Council, at its 10,046th meeting on the 17th of November 2025, adopted Resolution 2803 of 2025, which among other things welcomed the establishment of the Board of Peace as a transitional administration with international legal personality that will set the framework and coordinate funding for the redevelopment of the Gaza Strip pursuant to the comprehensive plan and in a manner consistent with the relevant international legal principles until such a time as the Palestinian Authority has satisfactorily completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, including the peace plan as presented by His Excellency Donald Trump, the President of the United States in 2020, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Republic of France, and can securely and effectively take back control of the Gaza Strip. Recalling that Resolution 2803 of 2025 calls upon member states and international organizations to work with the Board of Peace.
The vote marks the first time Uganda has publicly acknowledged its willingness to take part in the proposed force. Last month, an Israel official said troops from friendly countries, including Uganda, could participate if the mission is launched. The proposed deployment forms part of broader ceasefire framework announced by Trump after a fragile truce was reached in October. The plan calls for increased humanitarian assistance, the establishment of civilian administration led by Palestinian technocrats, the disarmament of Hamas and the withdrawal of Israel forces from Gaza. It is also proposed the creation of international stabilization force to operate in areas no longer under the Israeli military control. However, the plan has made little progress and the civilian administration envisaged under the proposal has yet to be established. During Thursday's debate, several Ugandan lawmakers sought clarification on the legal framework that would overturn the deployment, and Chonka said a status of force agreement would be negotiated and signed if the mission proceeds. Uganda has extensive experience in international peacekeeping operations and currently has troops deployed in Somalia, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo. The Gaza Strip, devastated after nearly 2 years of war triggered by Hamas in October 7, 2023, attack on Israel, with much of the enclave infrastructure destroyed and humanitarian needs continuing to grow.
To identify opportunities to contribute personnel, equipment, and financial resources to its operating entities and to give full recognition to the International Stabilization Force acts and documents. Noting that in the month of July 2026, His Excellency Donald Trump, the President of the United States, via multiple emissaries, contacted His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, seeking Kampala's contribution to the International Stabilization Force by sending Uganda People's Defense Forces contingent. Further noting that on various dates within the month of July 2026, the Republic of Uganda, in accordance with Section 38 of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act, has held planning meetings between the Uganda People's Defense Forces, senior leadership and officials of the United States Embassy in Kampala, as well as the leadership of the International Stabilization Fund on the deployment of Uganda People's Defense Forces contingent to the Gaza Strip. Aware that following the invitation by His Excellency Donald Trump, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, is ready to deploy in the Gaza Strip the desired Uganda People's Defense Forces contingent in accordance with Section 38 of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act. Appreciating that the acceptance of the request by His Excellency Donald Trump, the President of the United States, by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of Uganda, is anchored in the following legal, diplomatic, and humanitarian and strategic justifications. 1. Participation of Uganda in the International Stabilization Force is consistent with the national objectives, in particular, National Objective 27.2, which provides that Uganda shall actively participate in international and regional organizations that stand for peace and for well-being and progress of humanity. Additionally, Uganda has a strong army with capable organizational structures, which has enabled Uganda to successfully support peace operations, notably AMISOM, now AWSOM, South Sudan, Central African Republic, and various United Nations peacekeeping missions to enhance international peace and security. 3. Uganda's participation as part of the International Stabilization Force will aid in preventing further conflict in the region, thus contributing to broader international security by reducing risks of renewed armed conflict between Israel and Palestine, preventing extremist groups from exploiting instability and sabotage the ceasefire implementation process. Uganda's participation will enhance monitoring of compliance, supervise implementation of security arrangements, assist in demobilization, and support the return to normalcy of the otherwise unpleasant situation obtaining currently. Uganda's participation as part of the International Stabilization Force will guarantee an ample opportunity for antagonizing sides to plan for ushering in peace in the Gaza Strip. 6. Uganda's participation in the International Stabilization Force will contribute to elimination of terrorist cells that have greatly contributed to international terrorism, that have in the past used the Gaza Strip as a base of operations due to the ongoing conflict. firmly committed that throughout the period of deployment, the Uganda People's Defense Forces will remain neutral, comply with international humanitarian law, protect civilians without taking sides in political disputes, and operate under clearly defined rules of engagement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Parliament as follows. We seek the resolution of Parliament that Parliament supports the decision of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, to deploy the Uganda People's Defense Forces in the Gaza Strip for a peacekeeping mission in accordance with the Constitution of Uganda and Section 38 of Uganda People's Defense Forces Act. I beg to move.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Is the motion seconded? Major General Masiko, Major General Gonyi, Colonel Sylvia Meme, Colonel Christine Nekesa, Honorable Omara, I don't know whether he has a rank, Honorable Dr. Wakida, Amuria, Ngora, Captain, Honorable Captain John Bosco Kashari, Dr. John Okia, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Second Deputy Prime Minister, and the front bench, which includes finance, who will guarantee money, Attorney General ensuring the law is clear, and Minister for Health, who will ensure that our people are healthy, Honorable Bicham, Honorable Chambade, Honorable Peace, Honorable Hunter, and many of you, Honorable Anyota, and please, many of you, Honorable Kajuen, the former Chair of Defense. Yes, thank you, Honorable colleagues. Honorable Minister, do you have any, would you want to add any additional justification, or this is enough?
I've given the justification in my motion.
Thank you. So, I open up for debate, and I'll start with the Shadow Minister for Defense. Procedure.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, for the record, we are dealing with a very serious matter where we have to commit the country. We are served with the order paper for today. I acknowledge your powers to amend the order paper to introduce any matter of any nature, but given the seriousness of this matter, and in a subtle way, I saw how my good friend, Honorable Minister of Defense, brought in this, and the resolution we're about to make today. I would only, Right Honorable Speaker, wonder whether it's not procedurally right that you adjourn, you give us some time for us to address our mind to the motion, and also using our technical officers to review the previous deployments we have made. Otherwise, from my perspective, if we took this one, we passed a resolution with the ramifications thereunder, it will not be fair on our side, Right Honourable Speaker. I seek your indulgence on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Honourable colleagues, I must put it on record that the Minister for Defense brought this motion much earlier. He did his part. So it was an oversight on my side. For debate, and of course, I was reminded earlier on order of business, Rule 26, Rule 1, that I must give government business a priority. So I have to ensure this is sorted out today. Either we accept or we don't accept, but we finish our part. Yeah. And Honorable Muira, I'm very sure with your experience, we are going to debate. Let's open the debate and you see. People are going to be, it's going to be a robust debate. Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, much as I would have no objection for our Uganda People's Defense Forces to go for peacekeeping missions, Mr. Speaker, I have issue with our forces being in quite a number of countries: Central African Republic, DRC Congo, Somalia, Sudan, mention it. And now we are about to dispatch another contingent to Gaza Strip. Mr. Speaker, under normal procedure would be required as the legislature to know the performance of our missions, peacekeeping missions in these countries, and then would be able to assess and determine whether surely we are doing very well to release another force to a very risky, high-risk region like the Gaza Strip. The Speaker, because this is in the Gaza Strip, unlike these other countries I've mentioned, it is urban warfare, and it becomes very difficult to distinguish between combatants and civilians, and therefore the risk of ambushes is extremely high. And I would want to, as a Parliament of Uganda, to be as protective to our forces as much as possible, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Now, that was a good debate. Yes. No, that's not procedure. That wasn't procedure. That was a debate. So, and I'm sure I said, you must pass.
Right Honourable Speaker, it will be unfair for us to reject or to accept without doing the work the way Parliament is supposed to do it. The matter of deploying our soldiers to a very risky place like Gaza, where Israel strikes every now and again, Right Honourable Speaker, cannot be just casually passed here. We have to prepare enough.
Honourable colleagues, please. Honourable Samba, first take your seat. Okay? Please. If you know you've come here to do casual work, go out. We are doing serious work here. Okay? We are here to do serious work. Anyone who feels they are doing casual work, just get out. Please, debate. Honourable Seungo.
Mr. Speaker, sir, you see, we as members of Parliament, and even the opposition, you don't take us for the sake of thinking that whenever you have anything you want to do by government, we are against you. But your packaging sometimes is a problem. For example, you've been in the government. Dr. Chionga, Honorable Prime Minister, was a Minister of Defense. And in a number of occasions, you could take soldiers and then you come for approval after taking. Here you want to deal with the Council Shiriowa, Honorable Shiwa, fellow land friend. He has come to seek for motion before deployment. Then, we were together in the Committee of Defense on Tuesday. He has fully mobilized this side, leaving out the opposition member who is his counterpart, the Minister of Defense. And I am ambushed on the floor of Parliament. But Mr. Speaker, why we come in to contest the way the motion is brought and seeking for intelligence is to have a fruitful procedure for carrying out this particular exercise. Members of Parliament from Nebi go to a place called the Parombo and look for a person who was a sergeant called the Sergeant Okumu in the military police. He came from America for a military course, and on arriving at Bomba after 3 years, one officer, a sergeant, had committed offenses and was in prison. What happened? They said, no, who can lead this team? He said, let us send this one. The moment he arrived in Somalia, after being deployed, from America, that very night he came back. In Somalia, he was hit on arrival, and they all died. These are the things we are looking at. Mr. Speaker, sir, and the Honourable Minister of Defense, there are questions you have to ask. There are areas you want to know. That's why the Speaker was asking you, are you speaking to your motion? And you stated what you have said is enough. But there are questions you want to know. Who are going? How will they be looked after? You insulate those particular areas that are of confidential to security, but there are those that are supposed to be known by Parliament. When you talk about deploying my son, my brother, I must know the interests of his family as he's going. I must know the interests of the country. What are the interests? What are the benefits? But here we are, the Speaker, of course, with this number, you're going to win the motion. But facts will end up boomeranging on you. Let us debate, but give us room to give our concerns. Then those concerns can be addressed as fast as possible. Then your motion carries that day. And you
Honorable Sewungu, kindly give your concerns, okay? You see, motions of this nature, that's a problem. You see, it doesn't put weight to say, if it's a motion for deployment, you should give it this treatment. If it's a motion for where the rules are very explicit, motions which require a lot of scrutiny, assent committees, these are your rules. So you should have put it very clear in the rules, honorable colleagues, that for such an important motion, it should be referred to the Committee on Defense, scrutinize it, we call witnesses, we call former UPDF officers, we call who, but that's not what you did. So I'm only interpreting the rules you gave me. And that's why I'm confined, and I'm not ready to go outside the rules. Okay? So please, let's, Honorable Sewungu, if you have any concerns, raise them, the minister should answer.
Mr. Speaker,
even if you don't conclude, raise your concerns.
No, actually, what you are saying, I'm in total agreement with you. By the more fact that the motion was sent to you, the Honorable Minister, looking at me here, would have even given us the same chance with my leader of opposition. Within those few hours before plenary, I would have prepared what to respond to. But here I am talking about Parombo, those who were killed, those who have not been paid. There are even soldiers, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know, but for me, of course, I'm not supporting your motion because it's an ambush on us. It's an ambush on us. And kindly, you are packaging. Procedure for what now?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Ugandans vote their best to represent them in this House. And we are representatives, not delegates, meaning we should be able and have the competence to address any matter which comes. We sit on the front bench, usually raise issues of national importance, and we respond immediately as ministers. So the point of procedure I am raising is why our colleagues are fearing to debate, because this debate,
just it.
Right Honorable Speaker,
that's the debate.
Is it procedurally right for our colleagues to fear debate? You have given us opportunity to raise any concerns. Yes, to raise any concerns, and the Minister of Defense, the Prime Minister, and the government is here to respond to the concerns.
Thank you.
So is it in order and procedurally correct for Honorable Sewungu to fear to represent these people in Karungu to debate this innocent and very straightforward motion,
thank you,
which is provided for in our rules?
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, I think Honorable Sewungu's fear came from, I think, was it the point of, was it Honorable Mwiro against Sewungu on Samba, who said they mobilized one side. Okay? So, but you see, this is not mobilization to vote. It's a contestation of ideas. Me, I argue both sides. But colleagues, we are talking. We have representatives of the UPDF here. We are saying we're exposing them to risks, to the dangers. Let me ask Major General Masco, whether this is a problem for you, who is representing the UPDF. No, he's an active soldier. Honorable Sewungu, we've never been even an LDU, so me and you on such issues. You are an LDU? No. Let General Masco. Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I stand here to fully support the motion. First of all, it's not true that this is an ambush. I know we have a government paper. One of the headlines, and you can go to records, this matter was in the public domain, that Uganda is being requested to contribute to an international stabilization force as had been resolved in the United Nations with a resolution which was being cited in the motion. This is an international stabilization force where various countries will contribute contingents. It is really very surprising that anybody would be feeling unhonored that your country, working with superpowers, is being requested to participate in such an honorable cause for peace and humanitarian cause. It's quite surprising. As for the doctrine of participation in military operations, the army is trained not to be in a dancing hall. The army is trained to defend humanity, defend territories against any levels of threats. So if you are saying UPDF is incapable of confronting any threats, test what we found in Mogadishu when a big force from a superpower had failed to contain the situation in Somalia. The first contingent which entered Mogadishu, which is an urban center, in a worse situation than what actually now is happening in Gaza Strip, should be enough testimony not to doubt the capability and the capacity of your force. You should be very, very proud as Ugandans that Uganda People's Defense Forces is viewed as the anchor of stability in a sea of turbulence regionally and now globally. I know some of you may be worried. How come it is the President of the United States that is inviting and proposing that this international stabilization force know why the shock? But that's beside the point. The doctrine of the forces is that we don't go to dance, we go to confront threats against society, against humanity. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.